So hello everybody in the Dragon group. My name is Araya. I'm the author of The Dragon Within, and I'm a psychic medium, energy channel, angel channel, or I should say energy master. It's one of my great gifts is energy healing work. And hi Nikki, great to see you. Before dropping into chapter 3 today on the dragons coming into my life, I wanted to just share with you and be sure you see that the book club for The Dragon Within, the first one ever that I've done, being hosted by me as the author, is starting January 16th. And so the information is on the page. It's on the Dragon Within page. It's on the In-Book Healing International page. And I don't want you to miss it if you're interested in really diving deep into the work with the dragons through the book. There's been information in the years since it was written that has come through, so that will be shared with the people that are part of that. And higher octaves of the mantras with the dragons, so lots of fun stuff with that. I'm really excited, so don't miss out. There's only 10 spots, so register quickly if you're interested at all. And next, going into chapter 3, what people might be wondering, why am I sharing this story? And it's not just to talk about myself or talking about my journey or how great my thing with the dragons is. It's really it's an opening to the invisible, and each one of you out there is got these great gifts. You've got a capacity to tap into the realms beyond what you can see with the physical eyes. So whatever that looks like for you, everyone has a different capacity in their gifts. But the reason I share these stories is so that as you open and get hints or intuitive hits or a feeling of a presence, that you take it the next step. Because in my journey and what you've seen in chapter 1 and chapter 2 was the opening and blossoming of that. Now going into chapter 3, I'm going to share how it unfolded and the actual writing of the book and what has transpired as I open to the dragons. So starting there, I mentioned at the end of chapter 2 that 6 weeks after, thanks Nikki, it's always good to see you, 6 weeks after leaving Hawaii and having that huge opening and the realization that a book needed to come through me, I was on a plane to the UK, and I went just before Halloween here, which is Samhain festival there. And it's a really incredible ancient Druid tradition, and so I made sure that I was in Avebury for that, near some of the Dragonlight lines. But as I unfolded to that, because it was an experience that I wanted to have, to go to Samhain and be with a Druid high priest who had a gathering at his house into all hours of the, we stayed up all night, which is not something I can usually do. Somehow I made it till the wee dawn. But being in the stone circle together with all these people on Samhain and the powerful energies that were there and just being open to it, I just said, okay, I'm going to experience and follow my intuition. So the first amazing thing that happened for me in the UK with the dragons was actually being led to go to West Kennet Longbarrow, which is not far from Avebury. And I wandered over that way, and I found a sort of a hole in the ground. It's sort of a depression that went back to a small cave, and these strange rock formations in and through it. And in the years prior to that, I had been doing some work that involved mantras and different body movements that opened pathways in the body with a woman named Solara. And my guidance just said to go to this specific part of the cave at the very back, do all these mantras, and then just open myself. And at the end, I end up in a position that's sort of wide open like this, with my heart chakra wide open. And what was incredible was that I felt the presence of the dragons underground. I felt thousands of them. And all of a sudden, it was like a doorway opened, and I was the key for that doorway for them. And I felt all of them releasing and being set free from where they had been hidden in the earth, straight through my heart. They flew through my heart chakra and up and out into the places in the universe where they were going home to. And I was overwhelmed with tears, of course. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it and going back to the energy of that, because it was the first time that I realized how many had been imprisoned by their own choice of hiding, but also because they had in a sense, they didn't have a choice. They had to go underground or leave these planes, and they weren't ready to leave these planes because they were holding a certain energy in the earth, and also in all the Middle Earth realms. Some of those were coming through and out. And that's happened several times again in other places around the planet, most recently in Peru at Machu Picchu. Actually, last June, I was led to go there to pick up a final piece, which has really, I think, brought the next opening level for the dragon work, and why this is all coming out again now. And in Peru at Machu Picchu, the entire mountain, you know, Machu Picchu is on a mountain peak, is an enclave of dragons. The entire mountain was dragons. And so many of those released, but now the doorway is open. They can come and go as they please. And I have a photo that I'll share and post into the group of the actual mountainside behind Machu Picchu, where you can see the dragon. You can see the back and the tail and the whole formation in the ground, which is very similar to Dragon Hill, which was one of the posts recently by someone in the group in the UK, and other places, mounts, where there's dragon ley lines, where there's dragon energies. The Hill of Tara is sort of similar in Dublin, outside of Dublin, in Ireland. Anyway, so that was my experience on West Kennet Long Barrow. Absolutely incredible. And from there, I made my way to Glastonbury, because Glastonbury is the core of dragon energy in all of the UK, Ireland area. And talk about powerhouse. One of the first things I did there was get myself settled. I was led, I followed my intuition. I didn't know which bed and breakfast to go to. I ended up at a place called Paddington Farm, because they offered tiny rooms that had a kitchenette. So it had a bed, it had a table, it had a plug-in for my computer, and it had a little kitchenette so that I could just be in my mode of writing and meditating and spending time with the dragons, and have food, sustenance available, rest available, and then a beautiful nature sanctuary around me to wander around in. Unbeknownst to me, I found out later that the dragon ley lines that pass through the Tor, through the center of the Tor, and you can see from one direction of the Tor going in either direction, but you can see a beautiful hillside that's got a great dragon ridge on it that is part of that ley line. So unbeknownst to me, I was in the only structure, or the closest structure, that is a physical possibility to actually stay and be lodged in, especially as an outsider. I don't know about, I don't know if there's any residential homes anywhere on the line or closer, but I did actually get within 400 yards or less of the actual dragon ley lines passing through. And so that's where my guidance led me. It was such an incredible synchronicity, and I just thought, wow, you know, isn't this perfect? And so that's when I sat with the dragons every day, all day, and just let them speak through me, let them sit with me and breathe with me, and teach me their mantras and show me what they did in the body, how they open it up, and then beyond that to connect to some of the higher level dragons coming from Sirius, coming from Orion, coming from Arcturus, coming from galaxies beyond that, the intergalactic, the interdimensionals. And so all of that information is in the book, but the incredible experience with the dragon of the Tor, that's something that everybody can go and do if they are open to the dragons. And I love the post just this morning in the group from about little Sophia Davis, who at 3 years old knows that she's guided and guarded by dragons and angels, and had to put her own little dragon egg on the dragon egg stone that is at the Tor. That's sort of hidden, but I know that she will connect with, and her mom can probably connect with, and many can go and connect with the dragon that's sitting under the hill guarding all the labyrinths of the Tor. That was a very powerful experience too, to actually go in through near the gardens. There is a woman who has a bed and breakfast there that actually guards the entrance, and you have to get permission from her to actually go to the entrance gate and even try to meet the dragon. So hello Francis, we're just talking about the UK, about my time in Glastonbury and West Kennet Long Barrow and the release there. So from there, after the book came through in most part, I made my way from there to visit some friends, unexpecting anything more with that, but knowing that there are dragons all over the UK. That is their main home base, well, most of Europe, but the UK was the strongest to connect to for me to actually pull that work through. So I made my way to Cambridge with a friend. I had 2 women friends in the UK who I went and stayed with, and they touted me around. It was wonderful to get to see the countryside and the beautiful places, and so we went out to Cambridge, and interestingly, as we were wandering around the grounds, they're so beautiful. I love the old universities and buildings. I remember going to Oxford and seeing the crew team and the boats there and being so jealous because I rowed crew in college at UCLA, but it was quite a different experience to be in a rowing boathouse in the UK. Wow. Anyway, so Cambridge, wandering around the grounds, wandered with them into this one courtyard. Beautiful building, little, sort of like a little fountain in a courtyard area. And all of a sudden I feel this, right, we're leaving, and this little dragon hops on my shoulder. Okay, that was a first. Actually, here I'd worked with all these interdimensional big dragons, energetics, but there was this very small, playful one. He wasn't much bigger than like a large dog, and he had been residing in that area of campus for ages, and there was something that kept him from being able to move around. I don't know if he needed to have an escort or just didn't want to wander off by himself, but he felt safe with me, and he jumped on my back immediately and wanted to piggyback ride all around Cambridge. So he ended up coming in the car with us. He ended up driving all the way to a place called Wandlebury with us, which I guess was his main intent, because this was another incredible energetic experience. We're at a place called Wandlebury, and there's this gigantic, massive, ancient tree. I couldn't even get my arms around her. And I called her the Empress of Wandlebury because she is indeed the energy of an empress. She stands guard there. She's holding the energy and the stories of that place, and she's really a guardian. And I remember leaving a rose there for her and seeing other offerings that people had made because they feel her energy and her power. And one of the coolest things in that area was we were just wandering, and this had never happened to me before, is we're just wandering along a little pathway. And quite literally, all three of us, side by side, as we were walking, all of a sudden stopped and said, "Did you feel that?" And all of a sudden, everything was brighter. It was like we walked into a different dimensional space. Everything was definitely high vibration, shinier, bigger, richer, more tangible, more tactile, sensory around us, just the air even. And so we just sort of wandered slowly, and I realized at that point that this little dragon had followed me all that way and then hopped off my shoulder and said, "Thank you, goodbye." And so he stayed in that dimensional space. I guess that's where he was trying to get. And then we kept going, and it lasted maybe only 10 to 15 yards. And then all of us felt it as soon as we stepped out of it. And so that was my first experience with a dimensional pocket. And maybe you guys have experienced that. If you have, I'd love to see some thumbs up or some comments to know that, I have brothers or sisters in experience there. But if you haven't, just know that it's available. That's part of the reason I share this story and want to expose you to all kinds of things that you might never expect or believe possible. But I know that I wasn't alone in the experience. And that's the incredible validating part. So that's ending chapter 3. Thank you so much for joining me. And I would encourage you, the book club, as I said, is coming up February 16th. If it interests you to dive in, even if you've never worked with dragons before, never open to it, but it interests you or is calling to you, be a part of it, because whether there's people in the group that have been working with dragons for several years since I first put the book out, it's been almost 10 years, or those that are brand new to it, the energies are ripe. It's time. Wonderful Francis, you're going to do a day trip to Cambridge in the summer. It's so gorgeous there. I need to get back to the UK. There's some energies calling me there. We'll see when that happens. But the book club it's going to be a pretty powerful experience. It's going to be 2 hours meeting every week for 6 weeks from January 16th to February 20th. All the information is on both the Dragon Within page, the Invoke Healing page, and the For the Love of Dragons group. And I encourage you not to wait or dawdle if you are interested, because there are only 10 spots. So, and all of those calls is going to be via Zoom, so everything can be recorded and played back if you have to miss a week. Time zones will be adjusted depending on the group. Probably mostly Americans, Eastern Seaboard, all the way to Australia can fit in the current time frame. But if there are enough interest of English speakers from the UK and Europe that want to get a group together that's early evening for them, which is morning for me, works great. I'm happy to put a second group together. So just message me or email me if you are interested in that, so that I can keep track of a group and see, even if we get a handful, 4 or 5, I'd be willing to do that for you guys. So that said, keep in mind too, one-on-one sessions. There's been a lot of powerhouse dragon work in one-on-ones in the last few weeks. Wow. I got to work yesterday with a woman out of Chicago who she's a pretty high vibration healer, and so we had some very high octaves come in. We got to work in rose gold and have Herkimer diamond energy from way beyond Arcturus come through. She was working in titanium, I was working in gold. It was just incredible powerhouse energy. And then today I got to work with a beautiful soul in France who is brand new to her dragon and is just opening to it. And she's in her 60s. I mean, how beautiful is that? She's moving into her healing and her truth and her gifts to share in service. It's never too late. Life is, we've got so much time ahead of us. I know that my goal is 167. I have heard intuitively for so many years that I'm going to live to be 167. So knocking on wood there that that's going to be my number. I feel it, and I just keep putting it out there. So I keep telling my sons and reaffirming that to myself. So there's lots of time and lots of ways to benefit. But if you need help to break through that doorway, if you're feeling blocked in another way with your healing work, whatever the case may be, please reach out, because that is my main focus at this point, is the one-on-ones with people. I love my one-on-one clients. And I am actually working on creating, I'm going to spend this afternoon with the dragons and brainstorming and feeling the next creation of the group that's coming in March. And that's going to be a 9-month deep dive. And that's probably going to be for people that have healing capacities or want to move into healing and being a master with the dragons, for those dragon hearts that are out there that are really called and coming in huge service. I feel a group forming, and I know there's going to be 9. It is going to be a small group, but more details to come about that. So wishing you a fabulous day. I love you, and I'm so grateful for the dragons pushing me into my truth and bringing us all together in this group. I am absolutely loving sharing all this with you guys. So have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Bye.